I'm Rob, and today we're at the Bush Inn in Ovington. It's a bit grey and dark, but we're going to have a nice walk before the rain comes. Join me. Well, the Bush Inn is a 17th century pub, and its location on the River Itchen makes it a wonderful place to come for a summer's drink in the evening. Which feels a long way from an October's day under the grey cloud. But we start our walk by turning our back on the bush and the river, and we're going to head up the road towards Alresford. So we have the river both sides of the road. The rooks are busy this morning. I love that sound. I don't know why I love that sound, because they're a horrible croaky noise, but it's just the countryside epitomised to me. Anyway, I'm talking about Ovington. It's from the Old English offine tune. I don't know if the accent's right, but that's how it's spelled, offine tune. And what it means is the place above. And the place above what? I don't know. Place above the river, possibly. So ignore the road to the left and the ford, and just keep going straight on. As I say, we're heading in the direction of Alresford. And the River Itchen, as I said before on other videos, it rises through the chalk aquifers around the Kilmerston area in Hampshire. Chalk aquifers are big chalk sponges, if you like, under the ground, and they hold all the rainwater, and then when the water level rises, up comes the water through the chalk, forms little streams, then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, so it forms a big river which ends up 26 miles later in Southampton, discharging the Southampton water. Now, the really interesting thing about this piece of river is that, although it's the River Itchen, it's also known as the River All, as in Alresford. So you can still see the tarmac for when the A31 used to run up through before the dual carriageway, which you can hear over the other side of the bushes there, many years ago. So soon we come to the junction, round about the A31 there, Alresford down here, but our path lies dead ahead in these bushes, the bridle way actually. So we come out the end of our path and we come across a lane. That way would be Alresford town centre, railway station, etc. And this way would be Titchbourne and Cheriton, and then on towards Kilmerston and the source of the river. And the flyover there is the Alresford bypass, which was built, I think, back in the 70s, if my memory serves me correctly. But anyway, being careful not to get run over. We cross over this lane down the dead end road, which is our footpath, and ahead we have a lovely deep ford, unsuitable for motor vehicles. Would it stop the Land Rover? No, I think not. Got a good 60 centimetres wade in depth on the Land Rover, and that doesn't look like 60 centimetres to me. But we don't have to worry, because we've got a footbridge being pedestrians. So what have we got? Oh yeah, it's only about a foot according to the wade marker. Now the watercress grew all around Alresford in situations like this, little streams and ditches, and it was eaten mainly by locals. There's no commercial prospect of using it because It had too short a shelf life. But when the railway arrived in 1865, they found that they could export it up to London. That's why the railway here, the preserved steam railway now, is called the Watercress line. So it was situations like this that the watercress would grow wild originally, but as it became commercialised, as I say with the railway, they needed to produce it in a more sustainable and industrial manner. So what they did with the watercress beds is they take bores down to the aquifer to produce springs, and the water comes up into the beds, which are lined, and it's the perfect 10 degrees centigrade temperature, which watercress loves. So you can grow watercress all year in these, because it won't get frosted, because the water is 10 degrees centigrade. That's the perfect temperature for Sue Keen's Rutherford to go swimming in, isn't it, Sue? Probably too warm, actually. So yeah, the river sustains a lot of local industry. Up there, I can't see it. I thought I might be able to from the map, but I can't. But it's Franklin's Fish Farm, and that opened in 1978, and they farm brown and rainbow trout. They've also got a couple of fishing lakes as well. But as we go on, we see the watercress beds. Just about to walk through them. If you've never tried Hampshire watercress, it is a lovely, lovely peppery sandwich filling, and I love it. Can't get enough of it in my sandwiches. Have it every day. It's a superfood. That's how come such an old duffer as me can still do these walks, because I feed up on watercress like Popeye does of his spinach. But as you can see, this is just one of many, many watercress beds around Alresford. And there's a close-up look at it. So walking up through the watercress beds here, and I've come across Keith. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning.
So you're harvesting the watercress, yeah?
Well, no, this is stuff we've cut off,
Yep.
which we don't need, and we're using it to plant the gaps up.
Ah.
But we have cut some this morning from the bed down there.
Oh right.
And we cut 5 bins, which will bunch up and go to London. Most of it goes to London and Bristol markets.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Yeah. So I suppose you've got to use lorries now, because the railway's sort of just the...
Yeah, we used to use, we got like a transit van type vehicle.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of holds as much as where we need to carry. You know?
Oh, good. And you a private company, or are you part of Watercress or someone like that?
No, the chap I work for, he rents the crest beds.
Ah, right.
It's his business.
Yeah.
And we just work for him.
Oh, that's brilliant. You're carrying on a long tradition here, Keith, aren't you?
Well, yeah, Alresford's got a bit of a reputation for growing watercress, isn't it? Yeah.
Amongst other things.
Yeah.
Anyhow, cheers, Keith,
Okay,
and I'll see you later. Have a lovely day. So just up the road here as well, we won't see it because we're turning off before then, but it's Itchen Valley Brewery, and they actually brew a watercress best, which is an award winner. So try it out next time you're in a decent pub that does real ale. I haven't tried it, I'll have to. So at the end of the road, we turn right. Try not to get run over in the process. And we follow up to the junction. You can see in the distance where we're going to turn right again. So we cross over. There's the cricketers at Alresford there. We're turning right over the bridge for the busy A31 towards Alresford Golf Club. New Alresford, twinned with what looks like bric-a-brac. I think it's Brie, Quebec. So that's Alresford and Bishop Sutton bypass down there, opened by Councillor C.M. Jones, Chairman of the Hampshire County Council in 1986. And this takes a lot of the noisy traffic out of the lovely town centre of Alresford. And just past the bridge on the right is the bridleway. And that joins up with the Itchen Way. So don't be tempted in by this sign on the left for the Itchen Way, or the charms of the fairy tree, because we have to go straight on, because our part of the Itchen Way is a little bit further on the left. Glad I have the old Coleman boots on. Damp underfoot. And the leaves are just starting to turn. There's a lovely ash tree. And there we are. You can see the buildings of Vernal Farm. There you go, for all you fans of rusty barn roof action. And we cross over the Titchbourne Lane again. That's the footpath sign, which we follow straight on up the field. Well, I've got to say, this is a very well placed bench. Thank you whoever put that in. Doesn't look much, but it makes you puff. Lovely view though. Onwards past long dead sunflowers. So the main path carries on down there, but at Trodd's Copse, which is the name of this little copse, and incidentally, the 100 metres above sea level sort of sign, stroke tarn, we skirt the edge of the copse on what is now the Allen King Way. So we emerge back onto the noisy A31. Run for your life, Rob. Half done, just the other carriageway. And into the old disused lay-by. I shut it off at one end. I think people were doing naughty things in the dead of night down here. So a bit of a sledgehammer to crack a nut, really. A policeman with a torch would have done, wouldn't it? But hey ho, it's closed to all those lorry drivers and things that used to use it now. Anyway, we continue to look for the path. And when you reach the lodge, presumably that's the East Lodge for Ovington House. Very nice grotesques. You head off down the path alongside it. Little building with a chimney on it, like a shed with a chimney. It's fairly new, but it's following the same traditions. It scared the life out of me living in a place with all those things about. Lovely views down over the valley. Lovely smell of bonfire smoke as well. I've not got the most brilliant sense of smell, but I can smell that. Lovely. Funny enough, in my mind, I don't know why, I link it with rice pudding. What does that say about my mum's cooking? It's only ambrosia out of a tin, but hey ho. So you're looking for what looks like a little deer track in the bushes there to take us back out onto the road. Confirmation it's the right track. The signpost pointing in the reverse direction. And these are the gates to Ovington House, which lies down there. It's a small country estate. Nobody that you would know or I would know really has owned it. Obviously having some building work done. But very impressive flint knap wall. But I'm going to use this log to tighten my laces up because my trusty old Coleman somehow have worn out between last year and this year, and they're hurting like, yeah, hurting like fury, the heel of my foot. So boot tightened up, heel feeling a little bit better. We're walking along the estate wall towards the village of Ovington. So there's a glimpse of Ovington House. It's 18th century and it looks like it's having a major work over there, roof and everything. Anyway, it's quite a job they got on by the look of it. So as we enter the village of Ovington, there's the north gate, and that's the North Lodge. 1837 it was built, initials of the builder, not sure who that is, but that's a grade 2 listed building. And as we walk down into the village, we'll soon come across St Peter's Church, which is also a grade 2 listed building. Strange, isn't it? A small place like this, and it's got a square in London named after it, Ovington Square, and also, oh, post box for my overseas visitors. Also, there's a road in Eastleigh named after it, Ovington Road, the home, childhood home of Trev the camera, my mate. Anyway, this is St Peter's. Now, not very sure at all about the year for St Peter's, or the century rather. It's got the wooden tower, which is kind of 12th, 13th century. There's a lot of Victorian influence, sort of Gothic arch there, more than a Norman one. So it could be Victorian posing as a 12th century one. Somebody will put me right, I'm sure. But nonetheless, a very pleasant looking church. Very grand grave there, must be for one of the former residents of Ovington House, maybe? Yes, it's the grave of Thomas Richard Dyer, who was a baronet, one of the former incumbents of Ovington House. But I would argue that perhaps that's more impressive. D-Day veteran John Poulton, who farmed here for 64 years. Lots of yew trees, sacred to Christians, because they sort of signify the resurrection, in that when their branches dip and touch the ground, they can shoot forth new trees. So it's like new life from old. That's the sort of symbol for the resurrection. Jesus died and then was reborn. I like this little arch, not sure what it's about. Looks like there was a gate on there before. Maybe there was an older church on site before and that's the doorway? I don't know. Somebody tell me in the comments. And there's the old rectory, another impressive building. I wonder if that was the farm that our friend Mr Poulton, the D-Day veteran, farmed. 64 years, it's a long time, isn't it? Longer than I've been born. Or been living. Yeah, right. No comments, please. Anyway, we get down towards the village, very near where we started the walk. So you can finish here if you want, if your legs have given up or your boots are pinching like mine are, but we're going to turn left, up past the telephone box, for my overseas viewers. Nothing in this phone box except magazines. Smallest news agents in the county, and they're free by the look of it. There's Sean the sheep and his mate. So this is Lovington Lane we're walking down, and there's another fairly large house down here called Lovington House. Again, nobody of any consequence lived there or is living there. Incidentally, this Lovington Lane leads down into Avington, where we did the other Itchen Valley walk. So if you wanted to combine the two, then that's quite easily done. That'll make quite a sizable walk for the the masochists amongst you. This is enough for me with these boots. So there we are, there's Ovington House. Down this driveway there, you see the gable end. But we carry on forward. There in the bushes there in the field, we've got some alpacas. Getting quite common now, alpacas in British sort of small holding. So you'll see a sign to your left. Ignore that, because it's the sign to the right that we want, and this will take us down into what I think is the prettiest part of the walk. It'll take us down alongside the River Itchen proper shortly. Well, it's quite the hollow way, this track, and hollow ways are some of those ancient byways, although all rights of way and footpaths tend to be fairly ancient. They were the main form of transport in the very, very olden days for people on foot or with horses or donkeys or whatever. And quite often they still are the quickest point from A to B. If I was to drive from Ovington to Itchen Stoke for argument's sake, then that'd take quite a while, but cut down the footpath, much quicker. Well, don't be tempted left here, because we carry straight on. Duck under the tree. Here we are, little footbridge over the Itchen again. A bit quaggy here, or just back there, and another lovely bridge. Oh, Watercress way, another walk. There are sluices controlling the flow of the river. Anyway, onwards. So there are lots of springs in this field according to the map, so it can be a bit damp underfoot, so nice stout footwear if you please. So we negotiate our way across here. So you can quickly see how these springs turn into tiny little streams that will then go and feed into the Itchen. I'll keep walking across the field towards the smoke signals. I'm fluent in smoke signals. This say, you come this way, and it is footpath. Or you could just follow the arrows. Over the stile. Ah, rice pudding. And a pampas grass. And we soon come out onto the main road in the village of Itchen, Stoke, past this lovely cottage. So we turn right to walk down to the village. Being very, very careful, quite a fast road and no footpath, so beware. Funny, all these cottages all seem to be for sale. I was out at, where was I? I was out yesterday in Sussex, and the cottages there were for sale as well. I don't know why. They're lovely though, aren't they? Look at that. Beautiful. Why they're all up for sale, anyone would think bonfire night was coming. I shouldn't joke, I bet they live in fear of bonfire night. Oh, the lovely yew tree cottage. And up on the mound there is St Mary's. Looks fairly French, doesn't it? It's got a sort of French design with that rose window. I'll tell you more in a minute, and I think the door's open. So St Mary's was built in the 19th century, so it's Victorian, and it was inspired by the 13th century Sainte-Chapelle in Paris. That was the chapel of the French kings. Did you like my French there? Yeah, when I go over there, the French like my French as well. In fact, it makes them laugh. So we'll walk up and take a look inside. It's a real shame that the sun's not shining, because apparently that stained glass window casts a marvellous flickering light show in the church. But it's a dull day today, but at least thankfully it's open. Let's have a look inside. So, Churches Conservation Trust. So if you have any money and you're fond of churches, then give some money to them and they look after these sort of churches. Look at this lovely font. Lovely marble font. And again another marble font. Now look at this. This is very French in style. I've been in many a church in France like this. And the stained glass is absolutely magnificent. Look at the intricacy. Can you imagine piecing together all those pieces of coloured glass? That's quite awesome. So the Bible's left open on the Psalms. We look up the church, along the pew, we look up at the rose window. That is gorgeous. You know, I'm not overtly religious, but you can't help admire the architecture of these places built to the glory of God. Even along the sides. Anyway, let's leave and go back on track. Put some money in the pot. Anyway, from the church we cross the road to follow the public footpath sign there to Ovington. You got lovely plumb straight Tudor walls. Not. That's the difference between a proper wood frame building and a later fake one. Is the timber is more irregular, and you do get these bulges in the walls. So we walk back down to the river again over another little footbridge. It's very pretty, isn't it? It's a lovely bench there if you brought some lunch. You can sit there and enjoy the peaceful tranquility of the river. There's wild cress in the river. Look at the moss on this tree.
I'm trying to identify this grass.
I'll see a fish if it kills me. Ah, there's one. There he is. There's a brown trout down there. I don't know if you can see him. Just holding his own against the current. And there's another. Very small ones, young ones. swan in the distance. Anyway, here we are. There's another bench if you've got a picnic. An information board about the river and the things that are in it. And if you haven't got a picnic and a drink, then that's the lovely Bush Inn, back where we started again, right next door. That garden is just begging for some sunshine and a drink and a bag of crisps, isn't it? So here we are, we're back at the Bush Inn in Ovington, and we've done a lovely 5.5 mile walk around. Distances vary depending on what app you use again, but it's about 5.5 miles, I'd say. Anyway, if you enjoyed that lovely walk and you want to see more, then please like and subscribe, and you'll find more on my YouTube channel. Or you can join the group, so there's more interactive social things going on. Anyway, it's been a good one, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.